What's good, y'all? Wave Magnetic here. If y'all didn't know, I actually produced the Afro House song called What Is Life, and I'm going to show you how I mixed it. This is how the final product sounds.
What's the meaning of life? It's the joy and pain when it's all we find.
All right, now, so we're going to get right into this, okay? Check it out. So when I started mixing this, in general, when I mix songs, I always start with the most intense part of the song so I can get that feeling really good, really hype. And on this is the drop. So this particular drop right here, I started with the drums. So let's see here. The first thing I did was balance everything out, and then I start going to town on it. So I start with the kick drum here. So this is what the kick drum sounds like. So this is what the kick drum sounds like. Okay, so before I did what I did, it sounded like this. Kind of puny. So when I put everything on it, the first thing I do with all of my tracks is I start with the NLS, but the NLS channel. It gives it a little bit of saturation and just makes it sound pretty good. So it's also emulating an SSL board. Okay, so I like doing this because it just makes everything sound a little more analog and gets it going. So this is what the kick drum sounds with this on and off. Off, on, just adds a little saturation to it. The next thing I do is I put on an SSL channel strip. So I put a little bit of compression on here, okay, with a slow attack, fast release, and 3-to-1, hitting it till it gets about about 6 dB. So that right there, that brings out the attack a little bit more, makes it a little bit more punchy. And the next thing is that I noticed that there wasn't enough low end in it. So I added some low end at 151 hertz at like at a shelf. And then I boost at 200 hertz right here. That's 200 hertz with a wide bell. And that right there is like my punch frequency to make sure that you feel it, like you can really feel it going, not just like the low sub, so you can just feel it in your chest. So the EQ on sounds like that. So then I have this snare drum, which sounds like this without anything on it. Right? So then I added the same thing, the NLS, and then I have my SSL channel. I put the SSL pretty much on everything. And again, I have a compressor on it with a slow attack, fast release, 3-to-1, and I'm hitting that pretty good. But the cool thing about this now is when I do my snares, I EQ into the compression. So when I compress it this way, I'm trying to get more attack to get more punch out of it, okay? And when you EQ into the compressor, that winds up making it so that the really harsh frequencies don't get too out of control. Sometimes you want to do it after, sometimes you want to do it before. It depends on what you're going for. But I've noticed with snares, I like it like this a lot more. So with this, I boosted at 8K, about 5 dB. Then I also boosted at 3.9. What's that? 5 dB. And then to get the body of the snare, that's at 200 hertz. And I did that at a bell. That's like 6 dB. So I'm really, really kicking this snare right here, okay? So I also cut off a bunch of lows at 100 hertz. So without that, it sounds like this. With it on, you see what I'm saying? That really brings that snare drum out. The next thing I did, I have another snare, which is just giving some accents, okay? And when you hear that without anything, sounds like this. And with everything on, it sounds like this. Pretty simple stuff. It's the same thing. Same compression settings. EQ into the compression, boosting at 8K, boosting at 3.5, and I'm boosting the low end, but it's at a different spot. It's at 322 hertz. So that's where that snare was speaking. Okay. Let's see here. Then we have this rim shot right here. I still have my NLS going on here. And let's see here. Without the SSL, it's the same type of stuff. And with the SSL, you see, that really changed the way that sounded. That pushes that forward a lot. Okay, because these percussion instruments are very important to make sure that the groove is really happening. Okay. Let's see here. The next thing is the cowbell. Okay. So with this cowbell, same compression settings. Still the low cut right here, but I boost it at 5K. Okay. Oop, we don't want to move it. We had it at 5K. That's 3 dB. And then with this one, I wanted it to come out speak in a different place. You don't want everything to be speaking in the same exact place, you know. This one, I brought it down to 1.18 or what's this, 1.1. So it's like 11K or whatever. And that's a lot lower than the other ones where I was doing it around 3K. So we want them to work together. Okay. So this is at 11K. And then I'm also boosting at 500 hertz. Okay. So without the SSL, with it, totally different. That right there makes it speak in a different place. Okay. Then I have my high frequency percussion. Here's my shaker. See, I just have the SSL on that. Boosting at 10K, boosting at 7K. Really simple. No compression on that though. No compression on those. Let's see here. I have my hats here. Now the hat's interesting. So this is high frequency stuff, but I'm not really giving it too much on the high end. A little bit. So this is a little bit at 10K. Little bit at 7K, okay? But the big boy right there is at 2K because, again, I want it to speak in a different place. This joint is coming at you like that. And if you got a little too much on the high end, that's going to get pretty annoying. So check it out. Now with it, that totally changes that, okay? So the other thing that I do right here is I have a bus. So with my drum bus, I do kind of a lot. I'm pretty heavy handed with the drum bus. So let's see here. I have my API 2500. I use that most of the time. Nowadays, I'm using this exclusively. This is my drum bus compressor. Period. Okay. So I'm basically smashing the snot out of this. Okay. So check this out. Oop, check it out. Right. And without it, it sounds like this. With it. So basically what that does is that reduces the dynamic range so that all of the instruments sound like they're one sound together. You don't want it to sound like a whole bunch of different drums like just kind of playing. You want it all to work together, okay? And then the other thing that I did was I put the Puig Tech on here. And I'm running this all in parallel. So this right here, I boosted 20 hertz because I just want to get a little bit more bottom end to come out on the API, because when you do it this way, you lose a lot of bottom end. but you get a lot of that punch. So I do that to get the punch, and then I just add a little bit of bottom end just because I'm losing it and I want it back. All right, and then I bring that down to about -12 right here. Okay, so when you hear that with the drums, so the drums without the parallel and then with the parallel. Now with it, that really brings the drums forward and makes it so that you can really hear that percussion, and the drum and the kick is really popping through, the snares popping through, all of that stuff is good. The other thing that I do is I throw some distortion on here, okay? This right here is that magma tube thing from Waves. It's one of the free ones. It sounds good, so I use it. So without it, with it, and I know what you're thinking. That sounds distorted as shit. Yes, it does. But when you tuck that in just a little bit, I brought that down to -20, and you blend that in, it sounds like butter. So without it and with it. All this is in parallel. So without it and with it. With it. That really gets it going. The other thing I do is some more distortion or something. I'm not really sure what this exactly is, but it makes it so that the high end on different instruments really come through really nicely in a pleasant way. Okay, so this is the Aphex. So when I'm using the Aphex, let's see, without it, I mean, you've heard it a million times without it. So the Aphex is doing this. It's just all that high end stuff. And I had that down here at -30. So when you blend that in, it just makes the high end sound really nice. So without it and with it. It's really nice, okay? Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. The next thing I did on here is I have the Wave C4. What I was trying to do with this is to get a little bit more attack to come out on the upper end of the instruments. When you do this on the bus, it sounds different when you do it on individual instruments. You get some cool things out of it. Let's see here. So I will show you what it's doing. Shit, this is all over the place. This is hard to get this. Maybe if I make it smaller. Yeah, that works. Okay. So without it and with it. You see how it's bringing everything forward? So what I did was this high mid right here sounds like this. See, so you get it like the top end of the kick drum, you get a little bit of the mid range of the snare, you get some mid range from the hats and everything. All of that stuff is moving together in time, and you're actually creating transients with this because you have a fast attack, fast release. You're just really focusing on those transients, and then I have a little bit of that going on the high end too. Just a little bit. And so that's all going together. The next thing I do is I always clip my drums. I'm clipping it. So I basically make it so that nothing is louder than the kick drum. And I measure this by going with the kick and seeing where it's at. So you see I'm cutting off 1.4 dB on the kick. And so now the snares, nothing is going higher than that level for the kick. And then when you see it, look at how much it's clipping. It clips all of that, and it makes it so that when I go to do mastering, it makes that really like be easy. You know, it's not destroying my master bus. Okay. Let's see. Also, I have here my djembes. And so I'm really smashing the snot out of this. I got some decapitator on here. I got yep, some tape. Getting all of the distortions on here. I got my API going again hard on here. And then I have my SSL and my NLS where I'm EQing it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll turn each one of these things on and you'll see what they're doing. So with nothing, and then you'll see me slowly turn them all on. See how it just transformed that whole sound? The next thing is I go down and I do my bass. Yeah. So here is what the bass is doing. Okay. So let's start with the sub bass. First thing I do is put my NLS, got my spike on there. And then with the sub bass, I am just boosting 300 hertz. That's all I'm doing. So without it, with it, just getting a little bit of that low in there, that low mid in there. A little bit of compression was on there as well. Let's see. Here's another sub bass, but this is the bottom. So with this, I'm not doing nothing. I think I got a little bit of compression. Let's see. Yep. So it's a little bit of compression, but I'm not using any EQ or anything. All this is for is to make sure that my lows are happening, okay? Then I have my high bass right here. So again, NLS, I have my SSL channel, and let's see, I am compressing it a little bit here, and then I'm boosting 300 hertz, and I'm also boosting 800 hertz. Okay, so I'll turn that on and off. You see that? So all of that together is doing this thing. And then I have a parallel chain going on right here. So with this parallel chain, let's see here. I have a parallel compressor going on. And this one is that Lindell thing. I think this is like a copy of one of the Neve compressors, the 2254 or 22. I don't know the daggone numbers, but this sounds good on bass. I always use this is my bass parallel bass compressor that I use, and basically I smash the snot out of this and I blend it back in. So this is what it sounds like when it's compressed. I'm smashing this joint. Okay. And when I blend it in without it and with it, okay, this is in parallel. So without it first and then with it. You see, with it, it pushes it forward more. It makes all those basses. Oh, shoot. Without it, let me do it again. So you see, with it in there, it pushes everything forward and it makes all the basses sound more like they're one bass instead of sounding like three separate sounds, okay? The next thing is that I'm using the Magnetubes again. This Magnetubes is dope. I mean, it sounds good on everything. So with it, just that alone sounds like this. You see, it's just adding distortion, adding more of that mid-range to it. So without it and with it. Adds a little more presence and just keeps it moving forward so you can really hear it. The other thing is that I love this C4. The C4 is really like one of the best plugins. It was one of the few plugins I really like this plugin with Waves. So with this one, I got between 150 and 1,000 hertz going on, where I'm expanding it out. It's the same thing I did on the drums, where I was doing that with the high mids and the highs. Now I'm expanding out in this range right here so that I can have more transients for the bass going on in the mid range. That right there makes it so the bass comes through when it's supposed to and goes away when it's not supposed to. I mean, when it is supposed to, it's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's fluctuating with the music and it's grooving along. It's basically creating more groove, okay? And over here in this low frequency, I am compressing the low end so it doesn't get out of control, basically. And I'm bringing it up just so it sounds a little bit more even. So without it first and with it. You see, that's like that right there is that's that secret sauce that nobody talks about. Next thing is I clip it. So with this, I am just trying to shave off too much of the transients and just make sure that it sits nice with my master bus. So with it, yeah, I'm smashing the snot out of that. I'm getting up to 8 dB of clipping on that. But bass can handle that. The other thing, if you see here, this right here is my sidechain compression. This is the compression that's going against the kick drum. So this is just to make room for the kick and so that the bass and the kick sit nicely together. Okay. Let's see here. The next thing that I have here is this guitar part. So this guitar part right here sounds like this. Pretty basic, simple sound. So I have my NLS on it as usual right here. Boom, I'll use the mic setting on this. But then I have my SSL. So with this, I have some compression going on right here. I also have, I'm boosting at 5K. Is that 4 dB? Boosting at, oh no, I'm not boosting here. I'm boosting at 700, okay? So 700 hertz right there is like, that right there is the speaking area for the guitar. It really like makes it so that the guitar can come through at a different place and doesn't get in the way of my lead instruments. They're going to sit a lot higher. They're going to sit around like 1K or higher, but I want this guitar to be present. So I'm like really making it poke through at 700 so it's underneath where my lead instruments are, okay? So without that and with it. You see, that's a big difference right there. That's really gonna come through where it's supposed to and where it's not supposed to. Oh, right. The other thing that is in here is I have Ozone, and Ozone, I'm using it as an imager. So I'm just using the imager on here, just making it more wide. I think I had I have a reverb on here, and I wanted to bring the reverb out. So that's why I use this to bring the reverb, because I printed it with the reverb in there. So without it and with it. See? Simple. Let's see here. Now we have the piano sound, or this is the piano. So with this, again, I have my NLS and I have my SSL on here. So I have a little bit of compression. With this one, I'm using a fast attack. And I'm just, kissing it, getting a little bit of compression, getting some of the low end off. And I'm boosting at 7K. And what is this? 900. Okay. And I'm getting rid of like all this low end right here. I don't want none of that because of other instruments that are going to be taking care of that. I got that bass in there, and then the other pads are going to be taking care of that. So without this, with it, it sounds really thin, but the point of this is just the accents, okay? So now I have my low pad, and again, NLS as usual, and my SSL. So with this, I got a little bit of compression on here as usual, cutting the lows as usual. And right here, I'm just boosting at 400 hertz. So let's see here. Without this, with it, so this right here is just like thickening things up, okay? And then now I have my high one, not a high one, same thing, NLS. Now I have a little bit of compression with my SSL. Now with this, I'm just boosting the high end. So I'm boosting at 8K, I'm boosting at 5.6, and that is it. So let's see, without it, and then with it. You see, that really brought that high end out, okay? And when you listen to those chords together, they sound like this. Super cool. Now I have them in a group, and I have this LFO tool. The LFO tool is just giving you that pumping sound. You see what I'm saying? Now here is the ozone imager, and I'm using this to make it a little bit wider. So without it and then with it. Super cool. That makes it wider. That's going to make the whole song sound wider. The next thing I have going on here is my other pad kind of sound. Let's see what this sounds like. It's just for some rhythm. Let's see here. I got a little bit of compression, and since it's so high, I didn't really cut any lows. 10K, 7K, 1.7K. I'm boosting all of that, okay? And so without it and with it. There you go. Boom. So let's see. I got some C4 in here. I'm doing the same thing where I am accentuating the attacks in here. That right there is just to make it sound a little bit more percussive, okay? And then right here, I cut at 15K or 1500, yeah. And then another boost going on right here. See that? So that's just to balance it out so that the horns and everything sound good too. All right, so now we're getting down to the main melodies. Let's see here. We got some with this song. I love the J37 right here. This right here is adding some distortion, making it sound a little vibey, and then I have my NLS as usual. But this one I use my the waves joint. And then On this particular song, I use the BX Opto as my compressor, my main compressor. And then I have a little bit more compression going on with the SSL. Then again with the EQ, boosting 10K, 7K, and then this is the secret sauce right here. That 1.2K, that right there makes it so that that's like my presence frequency for my main melodies. It's like not too high, but it's not like so high where it hurts the ears, but you take that, you move that forward so that the horns are very, very present. I also take down 450 a little bit because that's a little muddy, okay? So when you listen to it all, it sounds like this. Super cool. That makes it come really forward. All right. Now, the crazy thing is that I do the exact same thing on all of them. Okay. These are 4 horns right here. All right. And on this part. Now, I have this exact same chain going on the trombones, the same exact chain going on these higher horns, and the same exact chain going on these ones up here. Okay. So when you listen to it all together, that is the same exact thing. But I I have a parallel chain that I put on here. Okay. So on my parallel chain, let's see. One of my favorite parallel compressor that I use on the horns is, let's see, would be the Purple Audio, the MC77. So you've already heard the horns without it. So this is what it sounds like with this. You see? So now I blend that in and it sounds like this, without and with. You see how forward that comes? Nice. And now I didn't use this one, the Magma, but I did use the Aphex on here. So when I use the Aphex, Aphex sounds like this. It's just that high end, okay? So when you blend it in, and well, without and then in first. You see, that gets that high frequency in there, so it really sounds forward. Next thing I did was I used the dynamic EQ in Ozone, and I'll do without it and then with it. It's just taming some of the frequencies that was getting a little bit too rough for me. The other thing I do is that I clip this. I clip my horns. So again, they sound present and don't get crazy in your face. So let's see how much I'm taking off. So it's like 4 or 5 dB at different parts. It's mostly on the attacks. It's not really on the body because you don't need it on that. Yeah, so that right there is the full drop. So let's see what this drop sounds like all together. That's hitting right there. That's hitting. Okay. So I got all that going on the drums. I got all that there. Here's my piano. It's the same type of stuff. I got my SSL, a little bit of compression. Here I'm taking out 2K. I'm boosting 400 here. I'm boosting 325 because I want the body to come from here at this part of the song. I want the body to come from the piano, and I'm also cutting at 2K because the vocals are coming in. I got to make sure there's room for them. Okay. The other thing that's going on here is the sitar. So I want this to be just about the high end. So I'm cutting off all the bottom end on this. I got a little bit of compression on here. It's fast attack, fast release. Again, I'm cutting 2K, but I am boosting at 6K. Okay, because I want that shine to be on there. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what that sounds like without and then with. You see how it jumped forward when I didn't have it on there, and then now it's a lot more tame. That's what we're looking for with that. Okay. Then we got these vocals. You know, the horns. It's the same exact thing I put on the other horns. I didn't do anything. I just balanced it out, and it's the same exact thing. Now with the lead vocal right here, this is where you spend like, I don't know, like 5 hours like working on the vocal to get it to sound right. First thing I'll do is I got some tuning on here, you know, because I'm not perfect. Okay. Let's start it with let's take all of this stuff off. Yeah, you see all of that. That's all of that right there. Let's take this stuff off. Yeah. Okay. So first thing is I do my tuning.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold.
That keeps it, you know, in tune. Next thing I do is I put a de-esser on here. Okay. This one is actually a pretty cool de-esser. So when you add it,
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
See that? That's getting all those S's and T's. Next thing is my tape.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must.
That adds a little bit of saturation, a little goodness. Next thing is my NLS. Okay, got it on the Neve setting.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on.
Super cool. Next thing is my C4. Okay, now the C4 is interesting on this. I'm using this because of the different ranges with the voice. Depending on what range, different parts of the voice get louder and quieter. So right now I'm balancing out the vocals with the C4 so that it sounds a little bit more even.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go. Maybe.
That sounds a lot more even. Now I use my Puig child.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we.
That's just kissing it just a little bit, like 1 dB of compression. Now I use my CLA.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes.
Super dope, right? That one is a lot of heavy lifting. And now the setter, they call it the setter, is the CLA 2A.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
That right there, I love that. I love the combination of having the CLA 76 going in the CLA 2A. That really makes vocals sound good. And then now I got my SSL, where I'm not using a compressor on this, but I'm using the EQ. So cutting off some lows, 10K. I ain't afraid to boost 7 dB. Okay, this got to be up front and center. And then 7K. What's this? 4 dB. What's this? 1500. 3 dB. This is the presence one. And then 450, I'm cutting that out some because of muddiness. All right.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
Nice, right? So now the other thing is that I do parallel. I do parallel on like almost everything. Parallel compression, parallel everything. So here is the parallel compression.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold.
That's intense. But then when you put it in, it sounds like this, without and then with.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
Nice, right? Now, I also like to do parallel distortion when necessary. It's the magma tubes. Check it.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold.
Right? So now I just pop it in.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different.
That just adds a little bit of the low mid and like pushes it forward. Okay. Next thing is the affix.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on.
Right? And then without it and with it.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
Bam. There it is. There it is. Now, I do this parallel stuff. This is something that a lot of people don't do, but I do it. Is I put my parallel compression and all these parallel things on the vocal bus. Now that means that all of my backgrounds are going through here and all my leads are going through here. And so when you're doing it as a bus on the bus, the lead is the one that's driving everything because it's going to be the loudest vocal in there. So the parallel compression is mostly reacting to the lead. It's not really reacting quite as much to the background vocals. But what winds up happening is it makes the background vocals kind of envelop the lead, and the lead pushes them down. And then when the lead's not there, they come out. They kind of do this push and pull thing that doesn't happen if you do it in a different way. It's very difficult to make this happen without doing it this way. And so for me, I found it to be a sweet way to make it happen. I also have a clipper because, again, I'm clipping some of the transients off, okay? Let's see what it's doing.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
Yeah, I'm taking off like 3 dB or whatever just on like some of the transients, okay? And so when I'm doing the background vocals, I got different layers of them, and it's a very similar chain. I got my Lindale, Abbey, NLS, C4, all the same stuff. It's just that on the background vocals, I'm taking off a little bit more from the 450, and actually this is the exact same. This is the exact same. So like, check these vocals out.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go. Maybe it.
This is the same shit. This is the same exact shit. And then I have the same thing going on here.
Every heart a question lays untold. Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes.
Same exact thing. Is there another one? Nope, that's it. Okay. So yeah, it's all the same stuff, and I haven't run it through. So when you listen to it all together,
every heart a question lays untold. Every heart a question lays untold. Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go. Maybe it's the.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. The rest of it is just balancing and everything in terms of like all of that part right there. The next video I'm going to do is going to show you guys how I mastered this. Okay. But this is basically the mix. Like that. Once I do that, the rest of it is just like balancing, like, oh, okay, let me turn this down. Let me turn this up. But that's the sound. There's really nothing else. That's the thing. I have some reverbs and stuff that I have right here. I send them out on buses. I don't really put too much reverb on a track per se. So if you check it out here, the vocals have.
Every soul a flame it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go. Maybe it's not where the road will lead. Maybe how we walk when our hearts bleed. I wanna cry. What is life?
So I could talk about that. One of the things I do here is the main thing is I have, where is this at? The slap. So my slap right here is, I can just mute everything here. That'll work. So with the slap, it sounds like this.
Every soul aflame, it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
Right? And so then I add some reverb, which is here, my plate.
Every soul aflame, it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
But what I have it doing is that I have my slap routed to another reverb, which is my medium room. So I have the medium room on the slap, and I also have the plate, which is going directly to the vocals.
Every soul aflame, it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
And then I have a spreader, which I'm using right here, the Waves Doubler, as the spreader. And that is with the vocals, and then it's also going to the medium room.
Every soul aflame, it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go.
And then I have my short room.
Every soul aflame, it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go. Maybe.
And then I have my quarter note delay.
Every soul aflame, it must unfold. We're on different notes, but we must go. Maybe it's that way.
And that's pretty much the reverbs and all those kind of effects. I also have those side chained to the kick drum. So everything in the whole thing, in the whole song, is side chained to my kick drum right here. This is a group that I have all music, everything is in that. And then I have my bass that's also side chained. So that's pretty much how I mix the whole song. Next video, again, it will be about me mastering it. And again, if you guys are enjoying this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, this song is on my new album, Spectrum, which will officially be coming out in April. But you guys can pick up the vinyl or the CD with t-shirts and all those kind of things now, which I'll leave the link for you to do that in the description below. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.